Hello everyone and welcome to the And More Bus Videos YouTube channel. I'm And More Central, otherwise known as And More Bus Videos, depending on what channel you watch or where you know me from. And welcome back to Smarden. We've really caught the Smarden bug a little bit. I say a little bit, we've really caught it at the moment. This for now is going to be the second to last video on here for a little bit, and then we'll probably return in a few weeks' time. To do one of the longer services. For now, I'm just covering a couple of the short runs that I haven't done in a bit, and to sort of look at some of the new repaints and drive some of the buses I haven't driven for a little bit of a period of time. So using the map as a perfect excuse to do that. So as promised in a video, sort of a few videos ago, with our first video back on Smarden after a couple of years off, I did mention and showcase the first Solent blue livery, the brand new blue livery for sort of Portsmouth and that surrounding area, like Portsmouth. I think it also extends over to Weymouth and that kind of area. I'm not that well affiliated with that area, I'm afraid. I do know it covers sort of Portsmouth. That's about as far as my knowledge goes. And it complements for now Southampton City Reds. In February, pretty much. 2023, that's the year that this video is getting released. So basically next month will cease to exist, as First Bus are closing Southampton. They're not closing the depot, but they're stopping running the services and running the buses, and the depot is just going to become some offices. Now I do know that the repaint for the Solent blue livery by First Bus features the Streetlite and the Streetdeck. I can find many photos of streetlights in the livery on sort of social media and things, but I can't find any sort of vehicles in this livery. I think at the moment this is just a concept, and it wouldn't surprise me if the ex-Southampton red Streetdecks that were new to Leeds in 2016 end up over there. Thus why the vehicle that we're driving in this video is SL56 RFX, that is First Bus 35212. Previously with First Leeds and new to them for the 42 service. The vehicle now resides with only a couple, I think 2 of its sister vehicles at Southampton, as the 4th one that transferred down, 35209, burnt down to a crisp a couple of months ago while it was being used on some shuttle service work. So yeah, on a bit more of a positive note, this is the vehicle that we're driving. There we go, once it's screamed at me. And for this video, we are going to drive it on the 300 service. That is a peak time service that runs from here, that's where we're at now, that is Star Lane, and runs through to Sturry Station, going via Speldhurst. Speldhurst we covered in the last video on the 314 service. It's kind of inspired me to drive this, as I last drove the 300 with the open top C400, just to give you an idea of how long ago since we last drove this. So I also know that you can get a deck around it, because we got a deck around it last time, so that was also my thinking. So there we go. We shall make a move. I mean, I say you can get a deck around it. I imagine you can get a deck around it just about. I haven't watched the other video in advance, so I am looking forward to a challenge, and think that the Streetdeck might be quite a nice bus to take around here, something a little bit. So yeah, I think with the likelihood of these Streetdecks staying in sort of the first South Coast region, with how much money Southampton spent on the ex-Leeds Streetdecks, getting them on the road, because quite a few of them needed new engines and stuff like that, because the 16 plates are prone to unreliability. I imagine that they will be quite interested in keeping them in the local business and that they've done all the work for, so it really wouldn't surprise me if they end up at Portsmouth. I mean, there is also a rumour circulating they might go up to Norwich and stuff like that, but it would obviously make sense that Southampton and sort of First in the South Coast want to keep the vehicles, especially with how much money they have invested in fixing them and getting them on the road and things like that. However, the sort of contradictory statements on that as well, and that could also happen, is the fact that the sort of the fire with one of the vehicles might have actually put them off keeping them. So there is also that potential. So we'll just have to see what happens, I think, really. That is tight. Oh, ho, ho. That is actually very tight. Okay. I mean, we're just ignoring the fact that I've hit that thatched roof bit. We're just that's just going to be accepted because the thatched roof bit, there's no way that you can go around that. I'm still. There we go, nailed it. As I say, we'll just ignore. I think I did this in the last video anyway. Just ignore the thatched roof bit on that, because if it wasn't for that thatched roof, you wouldn't have an issue. Just sort of pretend that it would be fluff anyway, so it wouldn't be an issue. So, good start. Always a good start in Smarden. Apart from, as I say, apart from that overhang, it did okay. I think any sort of double deck would have struggled with the overhang anyway. And I do want to take a decker on this route because I did it last time, so... Okay, that's the first time. Does that mean that we... Hang on, do we have to go all the way around there again? I think we do. Oh, I really hope we don't. So the route itself that we're driving is 18 minutes in length. You should already know that with how long this video has taken. I mean, it might take slightly longer, it might take slightly shorter. We'll see what happens. But yeah, that's the route length, and the 300 is a peak time only service. So I'm driving in summertime so that we actually have some sunlight, and it is 6:30 in the morning this trip runs, and then the return trip in the evening. And I think, if memory serves me well, last time we did the evening trip. That's probably why I don't remember it all being as quite as tight as it currently is. Oh my goodness, okay. Keep wide, yes. Hang on, so we're definitely the steady one. I don't want this. Think small thoughts, breathe, breathe, breathe. The mirror's gone. I mean, the mirror is just what it is. There we go. Yeah. As I say, again, the mirror sticks out quite predominantly on this bus, so it's something else that we are just going to slightly ignore. When we look back and judge what happened, it is going to be another aspect that we just ignore. The bus can do it. It's just over the thatched buildings. I mean, you won't be able to get a small single deck round. You won't be able to get a long single deck round, should I say. Please don't just stop there. Stop going into Christmas tree mode. It's I banged on about the SL16s being unreliable for that long that it is turned into Christmas tree mode. This is where we've just been, so go down here. Sturry is 4 miles away. Make it out easily before that car. That's going very, very slow. So yeah, I think if some slight minor edits were made, obviously in real life, I don't think the thatched buildings would stick out that much. There'd be all signs of like overhang and things like that up if that was the case. But apart from that, I think this bus does just fine on this route. However, we will just have to see about everything later on. See how we go for the rest of the route. But yes, it's quite nice to drive the Streetdeck, and it for me it's sort of still quite odd, grasping in my head that these street decks are down on the south coast at the moment and have been in Southampton for a fair bit of time. As I say, they were transferred down to Southampton initially to boost capacity on the free service. The free service in Southampton on their is a cross-city red service, and one of the busiest that they operate. Initially they ran Eclipse B7s on it, and then do have the B70L Geminis that are based across the pond, assist in between sort of school holidays to help with capacity issues. And then the Eclipses went north. The Eclipses are predominantly now in Slough, and I believe a couple of the original ones have ended up in Leicester of the HY09s. They did also have some YGO7s that were new to Bradford, and some of them have ended up in Sheffield, and some of them ended up in Leicester that I've covered in a previous video on ML Central, but the ones that were in Leicester are now becoming driver trainers. So yeah, it's quite interesting with them. But basically the Eclipses went and they replaced them with longer length Streetlites that were used to be used. I think it was on the Eclipse services. Was it the Eclipse? It was the Star services. Sorry, it was. They used to be used on the Star service 7 and 8 that got replaced by OMSIs, and they transferred those over for the free, and then worked out that even with those there was still some minor capacity issues on the service. So they were still having issues with the capacity, because yes, they were sort of bigger than your smaller 10.8 metre street lights in Southampton predominantly run, but they still weren't as big as Eclipses, and still didn't have that high capacity that Eclipses do, because these street lights have lightweight chassis. So it meant that they were running out of capacity. So they got these buses from Leeds, got 4 of them, varying different numbers. Basically Leeds gave them the worst of the 4 and the worst of the batch, they're saying this time, and gave them 4 random ones, and they had all sorts of issues getting them into traffic. Got them all lovely branded, made them look really plush, put them out on the free, and then only a couple of, probably about 6 months later, I don't think we've even, can't say they've had them even 6 months, although you never know, time flies with these things. Since then, they've announced that Southampton is going to be closing, so all the operation's going to be ceasing. For all that work and effort, so hopefully, with all the money that they've spent on the engine rebuilds, they can keep them, keep the buses on the south coast and utilise them somewhere like Portsmouth, because as I say, in this livery they do look very, very nice, or they would look very nice, should I say, because it's one of these liveries that just suits most buses that it's on. It's like this, for example, it just suits this vehicle, it suits the street light. And sometimes getting liveries that really suit these street lights and street deck bodywork can be a challenge. We go. I was about to say, I don't know how I've not mounted the curve yet, and that answers that query. We're not even dealing with it like we did in the last video. Not a chance. I've lost the mirror again, but yeah, we'll get around the car the best we can. I'm not doing what I did in the previous video. Let's reverse a million miles only to find out I didn't want to pull out. So just clip it slightly, because in the real world it wouldn't have pulled that far up to the junction if it knew there was a bus there. Or if it did, it would have quite quickly reversed back. Well, unfortunately, OMSI 2 doesn't have the AI capacity to reverse, although I feel like that would just be There we go. That would just be some other chaos. I went round that turn a little bit faster than I wanted to. And again, this Streetdeck proving its steering capability saved us from what could have been quite a bad situation. Okay. Let's go around the lamppost, shall we? I do feel like this is one map that if you've got a decent bus in, like, to start off with how the service is into work and the dead runs included and all of that, like, I think you could, like, do a realistic shift on this. Something we'll have to do in one of the OMSI lives coming up. But do a realistic shift on this, like a 4-hour piece or something. Yeah, that's definitely a live stream. A live stream idea that's possible. Let's go before this car blocks us. It's always the Beamers. Always the BMWs on those junctions. We're actually 3 minutes late. Okay, to say that we set off 15 seconds before we were due, that's actually not that good. Incredibly tight timetable on this 300, that must be said then. Well, in fairness, I do have to take the corners quite carefully with A, double decker, and B, with its length, because it is longer length than what would usually do this. There we go. That reversing camera really isn't helpful. There we go, but that's us just about in. That's all that matters. It's identical twins waiting for the bus. There doos. Probably both going to work at the same place. The desks next door to each other, having the same lunch, the same commute. Yeah. You never know with these things. I don't understand office life. I probably never will understand office life. But to me, that's what office life will be. I remembered from the previous video when we did the 314 to check all the bus stops as you come down, because then that's where all the people wait coming up, and that has definitely helped. It's definitely helped me shooting past people and having to slam all on. But it's not something I enjoy doing. Something else I have wanted, and I mentioned in the last video I want to, like, or one of the last video on this map, I wanted the sort of E200s. And I must say as well, I've sort of wanted the Streetdecks. I think I have mentioned this in videos when I've sort of gone to Leeds, but it's more the Leeds Streetdecks I've really wanted to, because I don't know what it is about them. I'm just going to ignore that lamppost. I don't know what it is about that grass. I don't know what it is about them, but I think it's just they just feel nice, like to go on. It feels very, even though like the branding's all over the place and stuff like that. It feels very corporate, like uniformed. It is. Oh goodness, you had all that banking to turn to. You drove into the side of the bus instead. But I think a lot of it for me is like the seating layout. I think how they are like interior wise just makes them just look right. I think the older interior like this one has, I've never really warmed to, but the sort of high back seats that the Lead City branded, the ones that were new for Lead City brand, I think is just it's really nice. It looks right. It does the purpose. It's like something I need to do, and I will be hopefully filming that very soon, is go on the new ML22 plates, not new now, but they were new ML22 plates that Leeds have, the Streetdecks, and compare them to the existing ones. Basically that would be quite easy. Go on two ML22s, go on another Streetdeck to compare and see what they're like. And I think something I won't mind doing as well is obviously comparing each batch, because as bizarre as it sounds, each batch was slightly different. Like some of the batches have announcements differently, the grab poles are different colours. The grab poles are different colours, and there's all these different comparisons between them. And I think that was something I'd be interested in looking into. Let me know in the comments if that's something that you'd be interested in watching. It would have to take a bit of planning, because obviously I'd have to find one of each batch of fruit that fits in in a day. But I think it's possible. Oh, we're not as late now, we're just under 3 minutes late, so we're not doing too bad. Thank you. So make sure I'm not scuffing the tyres. Even though it is a game, still don't want to be scuffing the tyres on the curb, because next thing you know you'll end up bouncing up onto it. We must be nearly there now. I think by the looks of it, we are actually looking at those times. We're nearly there. I still think an operator like Centrebus would be more your suited kind of company that would do these sort of routes. They're really just trying to like Centrebus or it's sort of a semi-large or local independent is the kind of company that strikes me to run these sort of routes. And all those parked cars. Let's not destroy the bollard if we can help it as well, because we made it this far. It'd be such a shame to demolish a bollard at the end of it. And then hopefully everyone has just about made their train. Because I imagine that the concept behind this route is because it then leaves at 6:15 off the station as well. It's sort of your connector for those catching the train to work. That for me, I do think it's pretty cool. So there we go. So we did okay. We weren't too late all in all here. So that's what matters. And then yeah, we'll see what the other blind looks like, because the not in service isn't the best. So that's what it does at about 8:15. We'll have to do that run at some point in the street. But for now, that was the 300 service from Sedlescombe, or however it's pronounced, to Sturry Station in Smarden. So I do hope you've all enjoyed this map. A lovely repaint, and obviously, if the Streetdecks end up with the Solent fleet, it would be absolutely stunning to see them in this livery. Really, really would. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. For now, though, I really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have done, do be sure to click that like button so that more people can find it and enjoy like you have. And if you haven't already, do be sure to subscribe to the And More Bus Videos YouTube channel for more content like this from the simulation section, including OMSI 2 and other simulation games, as well as an archive of over 4,500 backseat and engine-focused public transport videos from the past and present within the UK and beyond. There's a video in those archives for everyone, so do go and check out the handy playlists. And there's including quite a lot of vehicles that in more recent times have been withdrawn and scrapped. So again, there was something in there for everyone. And if you haven't already, do be sure to check out my other YouTube channel, my main one, and more central, for more content in the real life bus industry, including some exciting movements and sort of stuff involving the Streetdecks in Leeds. There's also quite a few archive videos on them, but there's also going to be some exciting videos to come. For now, though, I really hope you've enjoyed this one, and I will see you all in the next video, mate. Goodbye for now. Bye.